just to do a small brief to introduce who our guests are for today, and just in a one-liner to say we are here to launch the Tourism Month and its associated activities. The Honorable MEC Ntate Mokoni will be the one to give us and unpack what is in store for us for the Tourism Month as Limpopo Province. On the second aspect of introducing who our guests are, I will start first with the LTA delegation from the board led by Ntate Dipela, and accompanying him as well is our Deputy Chairperson, Ntate Chikane. I also have my fellow board member, Ntate Tsedi, who is here with us today. And we also have leading the management team, our Chief Executive Officer, Mesonto Ndlovu. And from the local government, we already had the welcome remarks by the Executive Mayor of Makado, Councillor Munyai. And we also have the representative from Vembe District Municipality, Councillor Chauke. And from Vamsanda, we've got the representative from Sintumule Traditional Council, Makado Sintumule. And accompanying him as well is also Musanda NS. And from the Songosi Royal Council, we have Ndate Elijah Mpepo. And those are the guests that I have for now. We are expecting, as well as indicated, the CEO from SAT Tourism. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you, DDG. I think all of us have been acknowledged, and members of the media who are here, you also acknowledged. Wokone Wunolo, I will want you to be a bit closer to me this end. We are here at a place called Kone Village Boutique Lodge. And we have the people who are running this place or who own this place, who would like them to share in a few minutes their experiences. I don't know whether it's you or Mr. Sibata himself or Kone who's coming to do that, but any of you who will come and just briefly share with us your experiences during this particular 6 months and how you've survived, and then looking forward to the future. Let me allow Wunolo to come on stage and tell us how they have survived this COVID onslaught as an establishment. Please, the stage is yours. You can remove your mask.
Ndi masiari, batho botanganezwa, kashangula haramancha. Rokolevu wauri, bo bandarine namusi, tuwanila namusi. I would like to appreciate the honorable, I'm trying to follow protocol. So I would like to appreciate the representation from the chieftaincy of Haramancha Sintumule. And I would also like to welcome our Honorable MEC and his delegation. And I'll also like to thank and welcome the CEO of Limpopo Tourism, and and I would also like to welcome the media to be with us today and share this wonderful day, and all protocol observed. I've been given these few moments to talk more about our experiences, and I'm sure everybody can see the excitement that I have to have this day finally come. Now, what I would want to share is the establishment was founded in 2015, and when we started, we didn't realize the impact that we'll be doing in the village of Sintumole. And we found ourselves when we started having 4 employees, and we could turn over a little bit of about 500,000. But as years went by, we found ourselves employing even more, where in 2016, now the growth was happening. We could see that the impact that we have made in the Sintumule village is really making a difference. But this growth didn't just happen by itself. The support that we got from Limpopo Tourism Agency played a very significant role because of them and pushing us and also recognizing the efforts that we're making. It helped us to grow to an extent that in 2017, we won the MEC Award for Best Establishment. And this was through the efforts that Limpopo Tourism Agency has done for us. And then when we moved to 2018, we also won an award that was for Best Establishment in Limpopo, also for service excellence. So it shows that what Limpopo Tourism Agency is doing is really making an impact, and not only for us, but for the entire industry of hospitality. And when we grew, as we grew in 2019, now we could turn over a little bit of 7 million, and now we had 35 employees. However, came 2020 with its challenges of COVID. Now, during the period of COVID, we had to survive. And for us to survive, we ended up having to sell some of our properties to make sure that the dream that we have, we can realize it and not let it die. Because we feel that we are here to represent the village and really show that it can be done in our villages. It doesn't have to be only in towns, but our villages, when we talk rural revitalization, we really have to be the example to show what rural revitalization is all about. And unfortunately with COVID, we had to lose some of our workers, where now some of the work we had to do ourselves. But we're looking forward to the support that the tourism agency, Limpopo Tourism Agency, has done to make available funds to be able to push us, so that we can get through this period, this very difficult period. And we say thank you very much to the support that we're receiving, and may it continue. So as this day has come, we hope that it will bring for us more blessings and more growth to come, so that we can also assist the facilities around us, because there are small facilities that are around us. So we want to also support them and grow the economy of Haramancha Sintumul. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a lovely day and stay blessed.
Rolibuwa Bobunolo na Bokode for doing such a sterling work and profiling Asintumule Aramancha in such a big way. Some of us, it's our first time here, and we were pleasantly surprised to find such comfort, almost an island in the middle of nowhere. But it's a beautiful place and establishment. We hope a lot of people who are with us, who are watching, will be able to come here and visit for holidays. Summer is here. I saw the pool looks very clean. Doesn't look like we're just coming from winter. It's blue waters. So if the weather allows, a few people will be able to go swimming. With that, let me ask another person who also was under lockdown for a while, but the music never stopped in his ears. Ricky, just give us a rendition or two, and then we'll go to the next part of our program. Ricky is one of our good artists in Limpopo, so we mix all these together within our tourism ensemble. Ricky will just give us a performance or two, and then we'll continue with the program. Let's give him a round of applause. Ricky, I thought you would give a second one. Just a second one to allow that the sun will still shine, you know. Thank you, Ricky, for that calming music, Njilo Njilo, as it is. And then, of course, there was something so prophetic about the first song, you know, no more sunshine when it rains. And I guess the rain has stopped now. And the doors are open and tourism is taking off from the ground, as it were. So it's quite some good music there. Thank you so much, Ricky, for that. Let's move on now to the next person who's going to introduce to us the MEC. The person is none other than the Deputy Chairperson of the Board of LTA, Ntate Chikane Chikane, who will do the honors. Ntate Chikane.
To our political leaders, traditional leaders, media, I'm here to introduce the man of the moment, the person who called us to be here. That's MEC Thabo Andre Mokoni. He is the person responsible for economic development and tourism in this province, a liberated and visionary thinker who has been a business person in his own right. He served in a number of boards in the province, so he has vast experience of what this province needs, both as a politician and as a business person and a comrade. Briefly about Ntate Mokoni. Ntate Mokoni holds a BA degree in education and postgraduate qualification in project management, as well as CETA qualification in construction. So you can see the broadness of his knowledge. He also worked since 1994 within government in various capacities. In his portfolio, Ntate Mokone is faced with enormous task of ensuring inclusive economic growth within the province and facilitating participation of Black-owned companies. Ntate Mokone is further expected to tackle the undesired high youth and women unemployment. He intends to do so by stimulating and leveraging feasible, economically sustainable markets earmarked for possible creation opportunities within Limpopo. He will promote the protection of Limpopo's diverse and culturally rich environment for tourism attraction purposes. All efforts made during his sixth administration will attempt to drive both economy as well as people of Limpopo towards the full participation in the fourth industrial revolution. Without much waste of time, can I call MEC Mokone to address the audience? Thank you.
You can get seated. Program Director, Ntate Ramakuya, the representative of the Executive Mayor of Vembe District Municipality, Mayor Chauke, Councillor Chauke, the Mayor of Makado Municipality, Councillor Munyai, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Donald Slamlele, Magoshi Ashu from Sintumure and from the Royal Council, the Chairperson of Limpopo Tourism Board, Mr. Andrew Dipila, and the Deputy Chair, and all board members present here. The DDG of Tourism, Me Keletloan, the CEO of Limpopo Tourism Board, and the staff of LIDET and the Tourism Board and government official. I saw the spokesperson, head of communication in the province, our guests, media, people, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to come to Kone Village Banquet Hall in Makado to launch the Tourism Month. As the DDG has indicated, the purpose of this meeting today is just to launch the Tourism Month. It says it all. We are here to launch the Tourism Month. Our country, through the Department of Tourism, has since 2010 been celebrating World Tourism Day and Tourism Month annually on the 27th of September by showcasing less visited provinces and destinations. Less visited provinces were identified using tourism statistics as released by the Tourism Satellite Accounts and South African Tourism. From the year 2017 and 2018, Limpopo started getting more domestic trips, challenging the status quo of the so-called most visited destination. In fact, Limpopo became the most visited province in the country. So we no longer belong to that category of people who were less visited. And we want to take this opportunity to thank the chairperson of the board, Ntate Andrew Dipila, and the CEO, and the and their colleagues for putting an aggressive marketing effort that saw Limpopo taking the lead for a number of years as the most visited province in the country. This year's celebration will undoubtedly be impacted by COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a profound impact on the global tourism sector. Governments across the world, such as ours, have had to implement necessary measures to contain the spread of coronavirus. These measures have directly restricted the movement of people as well as goods and services globally, with an affiliated adverse impact on the tourism sector. The pandemic has heavily disrupted the tourism sector, resulting in a reported loss of 68 billion in revenue in tourism and hospitality sector by July 2020 countrywide. The South African Reserve Bank predicts that the economy will recover and grow by 2.2% and 2.7% in 2021 and 2022 respectively. So there is a hope at the end of the tunnel. The Limpopo provincial government developed the Limpopo Socio-Economic Recovery Plan, which represents the sum total of the government and its cooperative partners' commitment to implement the economic and social relief measure to mitigate against the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the country and the population. The Department of Tourism introduced a tourism relief fund for tourism enterprises that were affected by COVID-19. Our department the department is pleased to announce that so far 270 applications amounting to 30 million have been approved from the National Tourism Relief Fund. The province further announced a total 10 million relief fund for Limpopo-based enterprise, which the application have just closed and will be adjudicating speedily so that our companies in the province will further benefit from this relief fund. The central objective of the Tourism Month campaign is to drive domestic tourism through raising awareness, therefore encouraging local people to travel and enjoy various tourism experiences in the province. The theme for the World Tourism Day 2020 is Rural Development and Tourism. According to the White Paper on Tourism in South Africa, rural tourism consists of leisure activities carried out in rural areas and include different types of tourism activities such as community-based tourism, ecotourism, cultural tourism, adventure tourism, guest farms, packaging, riding, and agritourism. The theme further resonates with our province, which is predominantly rural. To emphasize the point, ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of Tourism Month is to foster awareness among international communities on the importance of tourism and its social, cultural, political, and economic value. During this year's Tourism Month, it will be imperative to expose and unveil key tourism projects that respond to issues of unemployment. For example, while visiting Kone Village Bochikote, we should be able to access other attractions and historical sites by providing relevant infrastructure. We all know that Makhado municipality, as the mayor has already alluded, is rich in cultural and political history, museums, and cultural activities. In the spirit of rural development and tourism, we shall use this month to bring awareness to Limpopo Wildlife Resort and other establishments that are in rural areas. Where possible, we will lend a hand in launching new products and bringing attention to them through various marketing platforms. I am pleased to announce that from the 11th to the 19th September, as part of the tourism month, all the resorts and reserves under LIDET will be open to all users for free, what is known as Mahala Week. We encourage all people to use this opportunity to visit these places and relieve themselves from COVID-19 burdens faced in the past 6 months. We call upon our people to utilize this opportunity to explore and know their province, which is their heritage. Charity begins at home. Indeed, Limpopo is the Eden of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, before I go back to take my seat, I was saying to the chairperson of the board and the leadership that we had in the briefing session that we must cross our fingers in Limpopo, that we must remain with 3 teams in the PSL. Because for us, sports tourism is a very critical facet of our tourism. So we will pray and go to our gods. We will do everything possible to make sure that those teams remain, because for me, it's a very critical thing. Thank you very much. Ke a leboha. Ke a leboha.
Thank you, MEC, for such words. And I hope we have them diarized, 11 to 19 September. So you have no excuse why you can't go to a nature reserve near you, hiking, camping, just to check out the trails and to see whatever that they hold. So there's no excuse why we can't travel within our own province and see all these things. It's free for now for that particular week. So let's encourage our children to learn a lot more about this relevant. I'll ask Ricky just to also mellow us again with one more song, but maybe let me use up the opportunity, DDG, to welcome the CEO of South African Tourism, Mr. Sisa Nchona, to Limpopo, as well as to Kone Village. We understand the GPS coordinates on those things sometimes. When you're going to villages, they have their own way of directing you. So it was an opportunity for you to speak to villagers to ask, in the Korea Kone village in their hand. Yeah. But thank you, and we're happy to have you here. And let's allow Ricky just to give us a rendition, and then we'll continue to the next part of our program, wherein the CEO of Limpopo Tourism Agency, Sondron will help us just run the question and answer session. We want to do it differently, not just to say, here's the mic, what's your question? We want to add a lot of life into it. Ricky, just a rendition, thank you.
Good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Masaya, and I will not continue from there. Thank you very much for the opportunity this afternoon. MEC, Chairperson of the board, and the CEO of SA Tourism. Thank you so much this afternoon for being here with us. We are just going to have a conversation, and as the media is preparing their questions, make them difficult. These guys have been on virtual meetings. They haven't been on physical meetings. So I think it's a chance for us to give them difficult questions. So please prepare your questions. Mr. Ramapola, if you can help to with a roving mic just to be able to spot the questions from the audience. But before we get there, I just wanted to maybe kick it off with talking to the chairperson of the board. Chairperson, you've had the MEC, he has kicked us off with a launch of the tourism month, and is really encouraging us to really make sure that I think as NTA has, and I know that the NTA is looking in the I want to make this a little bit on the how we are going to be trying to assist
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, CEO. Welcome again, MEC. Viva, welcome. Ourselves and the dead have gone into creating a recovery plan, which its essence is to make sure that firstly, we would like to make a call to all South Africans and all our regional and international tourists to say Limpopo is back in business. And we are saying that when you come to Limpopo, there is still more to enjoy. We have not lowered our standards with regards to the experience that you will get in our province. And we have now added even more with the security and health protocols to make sure that when you arrive in Limpopo, you will become safe and get the best experience. But also what we are going to do beyond this is to focus with regards of ensuring that most of the tourism products that are in the rural areas gets to be given the necessary exposure. And we are saying that through culture and heritage, you should then be able to make sure that when you are in the rural areas, do not enjoy your room, because the room is only there for sleeping. The experience is out there. And we can assure you that during this tourism, but engaging to some extent with regards to our tourism products on the aspects of innovation, on the aspects of the pricing, because we get to know that all of us, not only the tourism products that were affected, but all of us, this COVID-19, this invisible enemy has made life very difficult. But through our CEO and our management, they are beginning to engage the tourism product to say, let's try to become innovative in the manner that we present our experiences. Let us also be able to look at the issue of the pricing, because it's now this opportunity. We always say that in all aspects where there is negativity, it creates a room for opportunity. And the opportunity we have now is to make sure that we can be able to attract a greater number of domestic tourists and make sure that our visiting friends and relatives, which is a greater sector that we have, can begin to spend more time around their own areas, get more experiences that the tourism products can be able to provide, and enjoy Limpopo. Beyond that, we are going to host this month what we call the Limpopo Tourism Infrastructure Conference, because we have come to realize that when the provincial government NEC speaks about what is it that needs to be done from a public works perspective, infrastructure development in the province, tourism has not been considered. Whilst we appreciate that the products are individually owned, privately owned, but there is a partnership that we want government to have with the product owners. I mean, there are issues here where we are. Let me put it and address you, the mayor. We are coming to you. Kone village needs more energy. You are aware they've invested their own money to put this dreamland in the village here, but they have reported to us that they want to expand, but there is a problem with your municipality with regards to providing them more kilowatts of energy. Now, if you don't do that, they will not be able to expand. Therefore, it's one of the aspects that we need to look into to say, how do we support this type of product? Because they have created employment, they are bringing tourists around here and provided your town, with a greater exposure that you would have received the elected. So the issue of energy with regards to Kone village is very important. We have issues with regards to the broadband. We are going to invite Limpopo Connection so that they can come and explain to the tourism product owners how do they get the broadband and bring it closer to them. Because we know that now we want people to become digitally, wiser. Now you can't be digitally wise if there is no broadband. And we would want Limpopo Connection to assist. There is the issue with regards to water. I mean, we are saying that part of the health protocols that we have says that you must wash hands after every 20 seconds or 30 seconds. But if people don't have water, it means that the risk becomes higher from a health point, from a safety point, and therefore that might have a negative impact with regards of the tourists going to those places, which are playing a role in increasing, the disease. But also beyond that, we are talking about the roads. Away from here, when you go to Mapungu, which is one of the most important tourism attractions that we have in the province, the roads to there are very horrible. And I think, I don't know if you know, but it doesn't fall under the municipality. I think when you use all these roads, it falls under Polokwane and Peter Mugaba, the Capricorn municipality. We are going to be inviting Southern that let's come and deal with the potholes. When you use the Messina Road, particularly because of the SEZ, you know, the road is still horrible, you know, and we have something that we despise a lot. Mayor, I think you are going to tell the sins of the others who are not here, is that when you put a board there that says potholes ahead, what does it mean? It doesn't resolve the problem. So we don't want to be seeing those, but we want to make sure that the accessibility to most of these tourism products should become easier, should become fairer. One of the other issues that we are going to have to look into is the issue of signage. I've raised it also with Cornelia because if you come driving here in the evening, the signage is too bad. And that means that in all of our areas, the signage should be improved. So that tourism infrastructure conference is to make sure that the owners of these products can then say to us, what is it that we can do to assist them to make sure that when the tourists come to their area, they are able to enjoy the experiences that are there. But I think beyond that, what we also need to do is to make sure that we attract a lot of millennials into our province. We know that there is a lot of young people now that are able to have a need for their own experiences. A lot of them have been locked up in their homes. Even if we say now we have got, we are on level 2, but it's still locked up. And we want to make sure that let us allow a lot of young people to come and experience Limpopo. But one of the other issues, MEC, that we feel that we are also going to deal with is the issue of the, what do you call it, the air strategy. You know, we are going to request you to make an intervention with CAR. I think if you are aware, most of the airports have been opened earlier by the Minister of Transport. Limpopo was the last one. And if I'm not sure if Polokwane has been open now, because they have to meet certain, you know, qualifications for them to be given the right to operate again. But there seems to be some difficulty because if you are not going to get that airlift strategy correct, the difficulties that we are going to have in terms of the increasing the numbers of tourism in the province is going to become a difficulty because we know that it's something that will help us. And I think part of that tourism infrastructure conference is to make sure that all those aspects gets to be dealt with and there can still be more to enjoy in the province of Limpopo. I thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jefferson. I know that if I give that question to my Jefferson, he can always adequately address it. So thank you so much for that. But Sisa, you are here for the first time. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sisa is a virgin in this area. So you are most welcome. We hope that we will be very easy on you. You will enjoy the experience. So we've been trying to get Sisa to come out here for quite a long time. So Sisa, I would like you to just give us your reflections. I mean, you drove from Gauteng. You got here in one piece. I think we'd like to understand where, your journey here. And I'm asking that question because we often get told that it is very difficult to get to Limpopo. I'm not sure, but he's here. He made it, and I think he's still going to enjoy part of it. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your journey and what your thoughts were just getting into the village. I know you haven't seen the island proper, but just your very, very initial thoughts. But also to help us as well understand the role of South African tourism in assisting in profiling SMMEs. I know that you've got a program on the hidden gems. So maybe if you can just elaborate on that, because I know that as we go into this recovery phase, SA tourism has done a lot of work, but there's a particular focus on how the SMMEs and the small businesses can be assisted to stay in business. And so we can just talk about those
Thank you. Fine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. MEC, Chairperson of the Board, CEO, Mayor, and
good afternoon. Um, yes, I made a couple of mistakes. I think the first one was that I decided to squeeze in a meeting in the office before I came. And you know what that does, that starts to trickle off. The second one is that part of my responsibility is to look after domestic tourism. And I'm a curious person by nature. So I was actually counting cars that were driving to Limpopo, right? And every single toll gate I stopped, I was questioning the cashier. How many cars? Are they busy? Is it family? Are they black? Are they white? It gives me a sense in terms of the level of activity. I was stopping at every service station as well to look, by the way, and it was full. It was literally very full. So those were quite encouraging from that perspective as well. I also like to observe roads and everything else, and the roads get smaller, but to also count the number of trucks that come through. It is humongous, just the number of trucks coming through. You know, so it gives me a good sense. And then you are right, the GPS did throw me off, right? And your team was calling me, saying, just come fetch you. Like, no, 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 no. I actually enjoy getting lost. So this is how you discover it, right? I myself, I'm a village boy, and the first thing you do is you compare to your own. Our one, okay, it's like this, blah, blah. We've got more cows and sheep along the road. There's less ones, etc., etc. So part of the beauty is discovering. You discover places with people. You watch people, you observe people, how they walk, and their tonality, and everything else. So that was been my morning thus far, and I really, really appreciate it. You are right. Bonolo has been trying to get me here for these 3 years, so at last I'm here. Now, what COVID has done, it has really slowed down and literally stopped the world from coming. In the early months of May, 90% of global airlines were just down. So there's literally no activity. Now, this gave us an opportunity, and as the chair said, maybe bad situation can come to opportunity to look internally and ask ourselves the question, when we emerge out of this, how are we going to emerge? Surely we can't come out of this with the same issues and problems and challenges that we had before. What are we going to do different? And we are very clear that in the recovery, like in other areas around the world, it's going to start with domestic, then regional, and ultimately international. So therefore, then, how then we got to pivot ourselves around the status quo that is there. Now, key here, two things really drive us as a situation. First one, what's called geographic spread. So essentially, where are tourism activities happening? Part of our challenge is to make sure that it spreads out to as many places as possible. Because if only certain centers only get activity, that becomes a problem. And you get a thing from over tourism or congestion. The second part now is that how do we use technology, right, as an enabler? So Chairperson, as an example, how do we take a place like this? By the way, part of the trend that we are seeing globally is that the consumer behavior has changed. They are actually looking for rural, they're looking for open spaces. So therefore, our villages play that space, because in the world or the era of social distancing, not the congestion that you see in every area in the city. So then the challenge becomes, how then do we make places like these that are hidden gems that no one really knows about? How do we make them visible to the audience of South Africa? And that's where the use of technology comes in. That you're able to go into a platform, right, and search by your field or area of life. It could be price, it could be geographic location, it could also be the style and everything else there. And that's where we are saying that technology is going to be a great player in terms of making sure that the connection is made. So suddenly now, Corner Village does not need to invest in millions of rands of marketing and publicity. But by existing in devices like these that we host in the people, we start to make the world interaction a bit more. Once we put targets behind it, we put resources behind it, and we should track it and see, is there uptick basically happening over there? Now, Chairperson, the challenge or the debate around which one comes first? Is it infrastructure or is it a visitor number, right? And you can argue the whole day. Build the road first, people come. No, people come and build the road after. It doesn't really matter. But what we've got to do is look at both at the same time. To saying, if we create a case and we get the numbers coming here, the infrastructure then surely should match the numbers that are actually put together and an estimate. So such conferences are really, really important in terms of the planning. We want to see more people getting involved in politics because some sectors of the economy, like mining, like manufacturing, are really slowing down. It is tourism that is really picking up with the service industry, and we want to be able to absorb as many people into this sector. So part of the experience of coming to a village is the drive, right? Is the drive, it is the interaction, it is, and I look forward to exploring more of it, but that to me is then saying this is our competitive advantage as a country that we can boast ourselves domestically, but also ready ourselves when we open up to the world as well. I'm impressed as well in terms of the health and safety protocols. Get there. We are all used to by now, I'm sure, writing our names 20 times over, washing our hands 6 times. I mean, my temperature gets taken 50 times a day. I'm already used. Sometimes I feel I should have my own thermometer sitting over here so that people can just look at it. But it is a sign of the time. It is what it is. And essentially, it is all part about making sure that the tracking place is there. Now imagine all of this stuff that you're writing 3 times if it could be done electronically. Imagine driving at the gate over here, just simply tapping your phone over there, which already has the details, and then all gets uploaded into the stuff. That's the power of technology we want to invest in it so that we can all get a seamless process running as much as possible. So rural villages absolutely is the focus. And by the way, this focus is not just for South Africa, globally. So Tourism Month is a globally celebrated thing. And again, rural side is the important side. And again, a province like Limpopo is actually well positioned. We want to see more activity. So I want to see when the cars come back to Gauteng and Limpopo, there was a full of dust, right? Village dust. By the way, in Joburg, people actually go buy dust, put on their cars. Now here it's free, so they must get it basically. And I think that's the competitive advantage. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much, Sisa. That was quite interesting to listen to. By the way, today I have the bragging rights. I'm all men. Yesterday he was chairing another panel and it was all female. So he was bragging to panelists. But anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to hand over to the media for any questions. I know there's also members of the industry that are here that might have a question or two. So if you can just be ready with a question, let me see some hands. As we are doing that, Sisa, we are also very much from here, we are very near Zimbabwe. And this particular property has become the unofficial stopover for people going to Zimbabwe. And I know that I've had Manolo asking me, do you know when the international is going to be opening? So I said, well, Sisa is coming. I think it's got the answer. So Sisa, if you can talk to us about when are we going to be reopening the borders? Because I don't want to lie to people, because Sisa is here. But in the meantime, can I see a hand? Somebody with a mic for some questions, please. So do you have a date for us?
Yeah, so if I attend rent every time someone asks me a question, I'll be very respectful. So as you know, South Africa is following what we call a risk-adjusted strategy that we are moving down from level 5 to level 4 to level 1. So all I can tell you for sure is that the borders are opening when we get to level 1. What I can't tell you is when we get to level 1. We get to level 1 when the president has a family meeting and gets on board and tells us we are at level 1. It could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week. But to give you a bit of a sense, what guides the country, cabinet, and the PPC basically is all about the infection rate. Now, when we talk about the borders opening, a couple of things are important. Let me talk about the importance of the border, right? Up to 70% of all international traffic coming to the country comes from the country, right? So the continental regional traffic is very, very important. So that's the first step. The second one then becomes then, if we open up the borders too early, there's a problem. And what I mean by that one is that you open up, but no one will come. Why won't they come? As long as South Africa, in my view, is in the top 10 of the world's number of coronavirus cases, you actually become a hotspot, right? The world right now is segmenting every country into red, yellow, or green, right? Red means basically don't go, what we call a travel advisor. It says each country, I don't encourage any of my citizens to travel to that country for this reason. Yellow says, yeah, you can travel, but if you travel and you come back, you'll subject you to a 14-day quarantine. Green says you can go. So as long as South Africa is in the top 10, you're automatically in the red zone. So you can open up the borders tomorrow, but then you're in the red zone because countries are saying South Africa is a hotspot and you pose too much of a risk to them. So essentially, even if we open up our borders, I don't think many South Africans would be welcome in many countries because you are in that top 10, right? Now, the good news is that we're actually sliding down. We're number 5 about 2 weeks ago. Then we were number 6 last week. Now I'm told we're number 7. So we're actually heading the right way. And by the way, the reason why we're doing that is not that our numbers are coming down. It means that our numbers are going up slower than relative to other countries. So we need to get ourselves out of that. In my view, get ourselves out of the top 20. Once you're out of the top 20 as a country, it actually gives an indication to the world that South Africa has managed the pandemic, that we don't pose the risk to anyone in the world. And secondly, as well, is that South Africa has also been able to masterly handle the pandemic itself. Because on the one hand, the industry is ready. The industry, the tourism sector, has put together the health and safety protocols. These are world class, right? So that sector is ready. What I'm not sure of is the country ready to receive visitors as well, right? And again, we are also going to be doing a similar thing where South Africa is going to be segmenting the country red, yellow, green. Now I'll ask myself the question, what color would we give them out? Right? What color would we give for the beak? Right? Because their color then dictates how then they're able to receive it. Because at the front of it, we've got to make sure that we don't pose more risk to the country. We've come such a long way to get where we are. You don't be responsible to open the border. The next thing you go back to level 2. And that's the tight balance that the country has to make. But as a high level indication, when we slide down the list to be number 28 as an example, gives me encouragement to say, you know what, I think now the time is right to start to open up the border because then we have become a country that's acceptable. Because we've seen, by the way, other countries, they've opened up the border. Guess what? Don't come in. Tanzania's done it, Senegal's done it. I'm observing now that Namibia is doing it from 1st of September. I want to see what happens with it. So it's a difficult one. I don't know because the sector wants this international traffic, but we've got to do it the right time. Because if we do it too early and close again, then open again, it will cause more damage than actually waiting until the right time. That's your short answer.
Thank you so much, Sisa, for that. Because based on that analysis, I have said to anybody out there who has been telling me, I wanted to travel to Bali, now I'm not sure where to go. I just tell them that Limpopo is a new Bali. Just come over here. And I'm told, Sisa, as of late yesterday, that our products in the bush actually quite valuable. And there's a good number of them that I've seen a lot of people out in the bush. And I've seen on my socials, people are saying they're coming to Limpopo. So I'm saying the industry had better utilize this time to be the Bali of Africa and just make sure that we get that money that was going to be spent in Thailand or Bali, we wanted to be spent.
But what Bali has announced, by the way, they have closed the borders until next July.
Awesome.
Right? Again, just gives you a sense. Very Australia also said they close the borders until next year. Right? So again, protectionism is the key. Get it under control. then when the right time starts.
That's brilliant news. Thank you. So I've got a question here. You know that we are live on our socials, so on Zoom, we are live on Zoom and Facebook and Twitter and all our other social platforms. So there's a question here. I think let me see. This one is for you. It's from Tanta Temba, from the Kruger National Park, and he's asking, what is the plan with the Limpopo Wildlife Reserve?
That to accommodate people who were affected by COVID-19. And in our province, it turned out that very few people were affected by COVID, and those resorts were not utilized. The calamity, the resort. Now we are opening up those resorts to our people, as the CEO and the chairperson have indicated, and also my speech have indicated, that this from the 11th to the 19th, we are opening this resort for Mahala Week. We want our people to go and have the experience. But we have 57 of those infrastructure. We have agreed as a department, as a province, that we are going to commercialize them. We have categorized them into three different categories. There will be the ones that we are giving back to the community. There will be the ones that we want management to run those projects, because as government would agree that we can't be running for, when we want to teach paper, we must go for a tender board, which will take 17 days. We want a person who will be able to run those things and empower our people. And there will be the ones that we will want people to bid and get those results. And I guess the advert will be coming out. I'm told that it's supposed to be coming out this week or next week. And I will say that the education must be moved too fast, so that when we say COVID-19 has taught us something, is that we should be able to deal with things quickly, make sure that our people benefit from this. I can tell you that this COVID, when I looked at the numbers, and we had a meeting with the stakeholders, all business people. I've spoken to them, they indicate that their frustration, their businesses have gone down. But what I want to say is that we also appreciate for you coming here. You are part of God. You are the big fish now, because what it does is that a person like you, when you come to the province, then people internationally and nationally know that you are actually here, and then they would assist to provide that marketing of our province. And we are saying we have abundance of places where people can go and see. So we take pride for you coming here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. I'm looking for, if there's a question from the floor. Yes. Thank you. Now there's more questions. So we'll start with the gentleman, and then I think the radio, and then we'll come back to energy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Lucas Kujwawa. I'm from Kuru Media. I like the statement today that Limpopo is the new Bali. Very expensive. My question relates to the issue of pricing. Most of the amenities in Limpopo, especially when it comes to accommodation, are priced for the dollar economy. They are way above the range of the ordinary person. And COVID-19 has caused great economic ruin to many economies and people. So is there a strategy in your recovery plan? Is there something on the table to say this is how we can come in to subsidize local travelers and the tourism operators to ensure that people travel because people don't have money to spend on travel at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Rato? Thank you very much. My name is Lorato Kovela. I'm from Discover Limpopo magazine. My questions are in line with the tourism month theme. The first one is that does the province have a plan in assisting rural products with technology and skills? As this pandemic showed us the importance of having that skill. And it was even mentioned by the CEO of SAP during National Tourism Month launch. And the second one is that we're having a lot of heritage sites that are not being taken off in Limpopo. Do we have any strategy in developing those sites? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I have energy?
Oh, thank you. My name is Emmanuel Gwinda. I'm representing Energy FM and Choice FM. My question is around the issue of safety. I'm sure we are all aware that there's a concern with regard to some of the players in the tourism sector who are trying as much as they can to recover from the loss that they got during the COVID-19 lockdown, to an extent that some of them are no longer following the regulations that are there. For an example, you find people, especially those who are selling maybe alcohol, instead of closing at a particular time, they do extend it on their own. Therefore, from the authorities or the industry, the industry leaders yourself, to what an extent are you communicating with these people to make sure that they do follow the regulations and the rules to make sure that things go according to the book? And then the other question as well is directed to the chairperson of the board there. You talked about the theme, which is talking about the rural tourism. Therefore, what I want to find out specifically, what is it that you will be doing throughout this month to make sure that whatever that you are going to achieve is related to the theme itself. And then lastly, this one is directed to the MEC. In his speech, he did mention the issue of 10 million, well, if I'm not mistaken, which is supposed to assist those who are in the tourism sector. How tight are the screws to make sure that by the end of the day, we don't discuss something else to say that no, people who were supposed to benefit didn't benefit, and people who benefited are not the ones who were supposed to benefit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna just stop it there because I don't want to take too many. I think we have quite a lot, but I'm gonna come back on the second round. Let me see. I think if we can take all your questions, then I think you might assist us with. So somebody wants to know about how the province, I think as part of our economic recovery plan, if we have a plan to assist in terms of technology skills, as it has been mentioned that it's going to be critical going forward. But there was also a question about the heritage sites. The MEC might want to take a bite from that, but I know that the chairperson will also want to bite on that. And then there's a question also about the relief fund. Let me see.
Thank you very much, CEO. Let's start with Lucas Lugaro. Limpopo is like it's a new value. The products are expensive. People cannot afford because obviously they come from COVID. I had an opportunity to have a white man from PRC CEO, Sean. He insisted that he wanted to see me. What he said to me, look, I'm going, and I'm not going to market in this product, but I just want to show you how people think. He said he's going to cut 50% of his charging fee. And what I'm saying is that South Africa, again, we took a decision. Chikani and Guruza, they are my forebearers in the youth. There was a time when we discussed whether South Africa, what kind of economy we want to see in South Africa. And we took a decision that we want to have a free market society. That statement on its own, it has a far-reaching implication because you can't control the market. Because if you then do that, the Competition Commission will deal with that. So I'm saying people around this industry must be creative just to keep the staff. If you look at the national, they put aside money for the relief fund. We also came up with a socio-economic recovery plan. And we said that in my speech, we said we have assisted some of the products. And we have put aside another 10 million. And we are saying to our people, please be innovative, talk to us. We have spoken to them. We know what is going to happen. And we said we'll put CEO to the national tariff. We put 3.5 billion as a problem for the pandemic. And that money, we did not use it. We did not use it all. We are told that the money will come back to the fiscal. We are going to bid for that money. And I guess the team that we have would have to work very hard to make sure that we get part of the relief program for the industry. And the DDG is here. So that we should be able to assist this sector, because it's a very critical sector. Remember, if people are beginning to struggle, like the CEO has actually indicated, that our tourism places now are full to capacity. So that's where we are. Look, we can't, in Zimbabwe, I know when I visited Zimbabwe, if you are an indigenous person, you pay a certain amount. If you are a foreigner, you pay. In South Africa, it is not allowed because of what I've actually said. And I think is here, we are trying to brand like the chairperson has actually indicated. With that, the recovery plan, we want to come up with products that will also allow us to deal with those issues. You must know that, for example, us who come from villages, when I need a swimming pool, I think those things they contribute to Chisanyama, and we are saying, let's open up those things, and we are saying, as government, at least we will not going to charge people exorbitant prices. We will charge prices that would attract people. I'm just saying, again, I'm the MEC, so I'm saying to the people of the department, DDG, I agree you hear what they're saying. please don't increase the prices. Our people want to visit those places. Let's, let's, as the CEO has said, let's put them in the system, in the social media, and people start visiting them. I was a civil servant, by the way, in the, we were charged with coming up with a database for the for the PPE in the program. We spent 750 million. I can tell you that the stories that people are saying, that thing was reported in cabinet, our cabinet. We said we are not going to go above what national treasury has. So for instance, a mask is the most was 24 rand. In our province, there's no mask which was bought which was above 24 rand. Because we understand, we said that all the people that will have to do that, it must be the people from the province. And even this relief program, we have a criteria. We want you, I want you to ask the DDG to say, show us the criteria. If there are leakages, well, we can't do anything about it. The people would have to be arrested. So, but where I sit, I would say the DDG is here. We're not going to interfere with that process, and we want to see a fair process. All the people must actually prove. And as we say, look, in my speech, I spoke about the number of people who have benefited. Right? And that's it. Lerato, you know, I'm passionate about certain things, about assisting young people, because those you heard, I'm the one who came up with, I'm a champion of expanded public works program. I train contractors. What in my city they said there is a contractor training program, which I was training young people to become contractors. What we did is that when we started, we had a call center, which was assisting the whole country. People were calling in. Even business people were calling in to assist our people. And if you listen to what the CEO, the chairperson has said, we have put almost 600 million on the broadband. And Mayor, I'm sure already you have to sign with boldness to say that they must come and do your broadband, because what they are saying, they must sign. And you know, we have taken a decision that you must sign so that people in corner, they must have a broadband, and yourself, because you have an SEZ. In this area where we are investing almost a lot of billions where we are going to industrialize our program. And I know that that program of the SEZ is here. And the skills that we also have a data electronic skill database, which we want young people to see 3,000 of them. Some of them are going to be sent. Already they were supposed to have been sent to China for training, but because of COVID-19. But the training, the other training is continuing. So for me, that's where we are, because I come from the background of being a young person who was actively involved with youth activities. We are the first province in the whole of South Africa to launch youth commission. And it was because of our effort. And we are there. It doesn't mean that when I have a tummy, therefore I'm young in the head. Even I understand how young people. Yes. The theme, okay, the heritage side. I think I must leave some for the chairperson. But you heard the mayor said there's another heritage site that we are going to unveil. So it shows that we are in the zone. For instance, Makapan's Valley heritage site, where the money has been which have been set aside. For me, is that when you talk, Mayor, when you talk about tourism, tourism means traveling. When we build the SZ, people will come and see the SZ. It means the infrastructure. I know for a fact, I was working, when I was a contractor, I was the one who was building the road in Limpopo. I know the infrastructure. That road that we are talking about, it's a provincial road. All these roads is provincial roads, and we must tell them, we must lobby them. And as we said, they are saying that the issue of early, and I get a score in SR Palace. What the CEO has always been, let me see, the issue of early. I didn't understand what he meant, which means that we must utilize the airport in Woodspray or here, the Messina airport, because the one from Limpopo, it has also its own challenges. So we must change that strategy. And as they're saying that we are going to meet and discuss this issue, because they are saying tourists don't want to travel for 6 hours without them knowing what to do. So I'm just saying that we'll deal with some of the challenges that we have.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, we'll deal with the price of the safety. On the issue of the heritage side, I think to support the LEC, that it's one of our clusters is culture and heritage. And therefore, we have agreed that we are going to promote all the heritage sites that are there. I'm aware that last week the CEO and the HOD had a meeting also with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture as part of the discussions with regards to how then do we integrate our plans with regards to the promotion and the marketing of those heritage sites, but also at some point, those that we find that are not in a usable state, how do we begin to make sure that Department of Sports, Arts and Culture manages them in a manner that we can then come and provide them. But also the other thing, Mayor, here in Zambia, one of the issues as part of our program is that we have taken a decision to create a liberation route. I think when the NEC was speaking in his speech, he has spoken about the issue of part of the activities that have taken place here in Zambia. But we felt that we must create a liberation route. I think most of you last week, either you were there or you supported, the family of General Jambuza, who was one of the greatest commanders MK has been able to produce. But I think the Mutale veteran, the Sibasa, so the research has started, whereby we are in partnership with the National Heritage Council to make sure that our heritage itself, from a liberation perspective, doesn't die down. So your support is going to become necessary with regards to match out from the district. I think you are noting so that when you go back, your council must be able to come and support us with that particular program, because you might not have the necessary resources, but you would want to go in partnership with yourselves to make sure that that liberation route becomes a reality. But also the other issue that the digital support. When one spoke about the infrastructure, the tourism infrastructure conference, when I spoke about the broadband, we wanted to expand that part because you will need to firstly need to make sure that when this broadband is being laid down, most of our tourists should become beneficiaries, because it's not going to help. I mean, the issues that Caesar was talking about, if we then do not have broadband, we are not going to have them. It is going to be a drain. And with this new normal, you might lose, the market itself. So we are saying that part of the program is to make sure that those rural tourism products needs to be assisted by having the broadband being brought closer to them, and the upskilling itself then can take a much more easier part. Our support to the rural tourism product is to visit them and make sure that on the health safety aspect, we encourage them, that this is the new normal, this is the thing that they must be able to do. They must not shy away from doing those things, because if you don't, the best thing that tourists do is that they vote with their feet. If they come to a place, they don't get good service, they don't get health and safety protocols in good level, they won't come back. And it means that we won't have money, you the tourism product owner. And therefore we go and put up those support. But also we have said to most of the product owners, when you have promotions, interface with our offices so that those promotions can be put on a website of the Limpopo Tourism Agency. And this also goes into the issue of the price. I mean, last week I went to Leeuwenhof. You know, when you go to Leeuwenhof, it's only when you arrive there that you get to be told that they've got a special. And I had to say to them, no, but this special, don't keep it to yourself. You see, you have Limpopo Tourism Agency to support you to make sure that those specials get to be known by the public. You know, if you are not able to have money to market yourself, please get in touch. I gave them the number of the people they must interface with at our office so that they can then be able to talk to them and put those specials, you know, on our website. And that's the role and responsibility that we have to carry out and deal with. One of the other sensitive issues that we raised last week when we were addressing women in tourism is the issue of grading CEO. We know it is not compulsory, but you see, if you can allow your products to be graded, it gives you a competitive edge. It gives you a competitive edge. And we have made it our plan and responsibility that we are going to interact with the grading council so that if the fees are too high, can they be lowered so that we then have a greater number? Because when you speak about this safety and health protocols now, people are also going to check, you know, why is this Dipela Lodge wanting to be graded? Is there something that they are afraid of that they are not able to meet outside the restriction? And it's one of the things that we are encouraging most of our products to say, go and be graded. If the issue is about the fee, indicate to us, we'll interface with grading concept. I mean, Caesar is here is listening, so I can assure you, it's giving us the support, Caesar. Am I correct? Thank you. Now, so the matter is resolved here. You see, because that thing, it's going to have a greater impact because you are not going to have a mouth-to-mouth marketing. People are going to go on the digital platforms and look and see about who you are. You know, now they're not going to be asking you questions. You see, whatever you put there must be able to provide the answers to the questions that the tourist wants to have. And therefore, the issue of grading is something that we are always now moving as a plan to encourage the products. Be graded. If you have difficulties, speak to us as LTA, speak to the CEO and the team, so that we can then be able to say, because we are aware it's going to give you a competitive advantage. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. And Chairperson, I've always believed that you have got superpowers. As you answered that question, it was actually asked on Zoom. So the importance of grading, how important is quality assurance? So you already have these powers to answer that. But also they asking how are we marketing and you know the importance thereof. And I think the critical thing is that SA Tourism has not only just run the Mimizela Awards campaign, which is really about encouraging establishments to enter this competition and be graded and really push the standard. But what they've done is that in each of the provinces, and I can talk for Limpopo, they've given us a warm body that sits here and is there to assist people in our offices at LTA. So at any given point, you can walk in and get to understand how do you get to the level of being graded, over and above the campaigns that we run at the national level on that. So thank you, Chairperson, on that. On the issue of pricing, if I can just add one thing maybe, is to say that CISA has got something special on the issue of pricing, because it's not only about the purpose. The reason people say they want to go to Bali or Thailand, because they always say it's cheaper there to go there if they have got 10,000 rands versus to go to Limpopo with the same amount. So, but CISA, I think he will, as he wraps up in his closing remarks, he will talk to the issue of pricing as well from his side. I just want to take two last questions from the floor so we can wrap up and move on to the next part of the launch, which is going to be a site visit. Just two more questions from the floor, please. I know there were hands that were up.
Ndoliwa.
Yeah, ma'am.
Elijah Limpopo. I am the great grandson of Makado. So, as I'm speaking, because Makado says I've been forgotten. We are in Makado here, town. And so shameful that Makado is not just an ordinary person. Makado was one of the great leaders in Africa who fought the colonial torture. So I am from Songozi, where Makado used to stay and fight his own battles, where Makado is buried. I am sharing this so that the mayor is here. We've been submitting IDPs. There's documents that we have sent to the heritage site. We've been liaising with different stakeholders. And when the mayor was speaking, he also said, no, the issue of Songozi heritage will be dealt with the relevant department. We are not happy. And even the king, His Majesty, I've been speaking to him today. He even indicated that he would like to summon the LTA, the department as such, to come to Songozi and see what we're talking about. So the issue of the liberation route that my leader was talking about, the vegetation. We're talking about heritage that has never been seen. Most of the people know that there's Zata rains. There's more rains that you've never seen before. We've got concepts that are getting dust, that are there. But, you know, I must appreciate Wokone, who are actually spearheading or no. The Songozi must also be known. And as we depart from here, we would also like to be part of this rural development in terms of your own theme of tourism. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I think before we move on, maybe MEC, you want to just say one or two words, because I think that's an important input.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Yuval from Makareto. I have a couple of questions. I just want to find out how many tourism sites or places have been closed down due to the pandemic, and are you looking or are you going to assist them in terms of reviving them? Under the current restrictions, will the tourism sites still be able to stay afloat looking at the number of restrictions that are there? And how many establishments have you assisted during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and how are you going to assist them? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So that was the last question that we'll deal with this afternoon. Obviously, the media has got the opportunity to take one-on-one interviews with the panel and any other person that might have some of the relevant answers. But maybe just to deal with the last part, LTA together with the LIDET, we busy finalizing a survey that is going to tell us in terms of the numbers of those that have been closed down. So we wouldn't have a number as yet. We did a snapshot survey in May, but things change significantly. So there's another survey that we're busy finalizing, and through that, we'll be able to establish that. How are we going to be able to assist those? We put in a recovery plan. We are in a conversation on an ongoing basis with the industry, and where possible, assistance will be provided. But however, the MEC spoke to the relief fund, and the relief fund is the big catalyst in the assistance that we talk about. However, on a product basis, that will be then dealt with through the department as well as leader in terms of such a support going forward. So if I can just deal with that. But I really would like my leaders, MEC, to just speak to the input that's coming from the traditional leadership, please.
Okay. Hello? Yeah, I just want to re-emphasize that in my speech, I indicated that we assisted 270 businesses to the tune of 13.5 million, which was coming from the National Department of Tourism. As a province, we are putting aside 10 million to assist again. And I've also indicated that we're also going to make in the budget adjustment that will come in October. We would also want to ask Treasury to give us more money so that we should be able to assist this sector, because it's the most affected sector. The great grandson of Makado. If you come to my house, there's a book on the table, Chilomsiku Makado, which I keep on reading. He was a guerrilla. He will not stay one place. He will go all over seeing his brothers and sisters and everybody. He will move around here. So I know about that. Me and Druza, I call him Druza, the chairperson of the tourism agency. We have known each other for a very long time. He was a chairperson of statistics. I don't know when we were fighting. He wanted to play football and these things of tourism and all sorts of this is. When I appointed him, he came to see me. He said to me, "Let me see. What I want to do is that I want us to start the what do you call it, the route that he spoke about, the revolution route." And I think Makado is part of that revolution route. Just as a matter of emphasis, we will be here, by the way, as part of the SEZ. Remember, Mapunguze, Makado, and the SEZ, we are going back to history. If you go to Mapunguze, the polyester, what do you call the polystyrene that the Chinese brought here, the trade that was there in those years. We want to do a recognition of history, because for me is that we need to put up a book which will talk about this place, and we deal with those elements. That's my view. I also shared with him that's what I'm thinking. So be assured that we will deal with that. If we start an idea, it may not come to a fruition in one day. Today, some people will start with that idea, and then somebody will eventually take it. And most of that we came here. So we'll make a follow-up on some of those issues. We'll have one-to-one discussion and start. I know even if we were to put 1 million, chairperson and CEO, 1 million, we say we are starting, and people from national are here. I'm just saying 1 million, 2 million. One say, no, we are starting Makado. We are done because we must take decision. So I'm saying that's how I word myself. So I'm just saying that we will be able to. You see, while we're bringing them here, we're making them to nod. When they nod, they say, we know we got them. So he's here, we got him. He's going to make a lot of concession. Before he leaves, he would have made a lot of concession, which will be supportive of that. So I'm just saying that for your comfort, we will be able to deal with that.
Maybe just to add CEO, because like as I've said, is that there is a research that is going on now between LTA and the National Heritage Council. Maybe through you CEO is that after this session, you can then have the person who's dealing with this aspect that it gets to be included, so that when the research gets to be completed, it has now touched part of the aspects that have been raised about Mercado. I think it's a practical suggestion that we must do.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. Maybe what they need to do is to bring in the municipalities, the two, because they are actually the custodian of that. Even when we are making all these commitments, they must also commit, so that they must also take into cognizance what we are saying. They must also commit, mayor, then we must commit, and then we will also commit, so that we must have that pool, so that from next year we should be able to say next year when we celebrate Mercado Day, all of us we must come back and take it forward.
No, thank you so much, the MEC, and I know that the DDG is also recording because the function of product development sits in the debt. We as LTA, we facilitate the process. So thank you so much for those inputs. I would like just to bring everything to the close. I will ask my panelists just 1 minute to give us a closing remarks, starting with you, Cesar. I really would like you to talk about the pricing. Is it the holy grail or is it the tipping point in terms of where we are? Can we do something about it? What can we do? But also if you have got any advice now that you are here on how to pivot, using this tourism month as a springboard, if there's anything there. Chairperson, you come in just 1 minute, but if you can also talk a lot about the digital stuff, because I see questions coming from Zoom and other platforms in terms of the digital and importance thereof. And then the MEC will just give the wrapping remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. One of the challenges I like to throw back, since I've been thrown a lot of things, I can throw back is that what do you want Limpopo to be known for? Right? So when you mention the name Limpopo, what comes to your mind? Right? Is it the big five? Right? Surely you're more than just animals. There's stories and everything else behind it. That's the one part. The second part is also understanding the structure of the sector. Right? The reason why these beautiful stories are not told, it is because the majority, the operators of the sector, are not people that actually know the story. So therefore they skate on the periphery. They go to the beaches, go to the big five, climb a mountain and back, and then go away. The people's story is actually what research tells us that the tourists are looking for. They're looking to immerse themselves. They want to know the story. They want to know the food. They want to know the flavors. They want to know the fashion and everything else. So part of this recovery is then how do we start to bring South Africa into the center? So again, I ask, how does Limpopo want to tell their story to the world? And you've got to think about that one. What's your story? Because in packaging your story, that becomes then your value proposition. That becomes your brand. That becomes your identity as well. Then the other one also talks about tour guides. Who's their voice? Right? So when I enter Limpopo, who do I call and say, listen, come talk to me about it? Just to kind of give you a bit of a sense. Not the average age of a tour guide in South Africa is 65 years old. Right? So you've got 65-year-old people telling stories, and they typically pale, they typically male, right? And they typically retired teachers, etc., etc. So there again, I ask myself the question, who's telling the Limpopo story? How are we promoting more tour guides who become the voice, who become the purveyors of the story in Limpopo as well? Chair, you spoke about the grading council and everything else there. The issue that is being attended to by the minister right now is actually amending the Tourism Act itself. It was last developed in 1990. We've moved 30 years on. However, now you've got an act that is not relevant for the time that you're in. So you've got this gap sitting over there. In it, it will start to answer the question around grading, quality assurance, compulsory, pay, is it free, is it not, etc., etc. So all of these things will be done, and there will be a process of engagement where inputs can actually be given in on that side. Then the issue around pricing, it's a bugbear for me, right? And for you to understand the issue about pricing, you've got to understand a bit of history and the structure of South Africa. Many economies around the world, if you look at them that have a tourism play, it is actually built on a very strong domestic market overlaid by international. Now, South Africans, we like doing things differently, right? We are other way around. We've got a stronger international and a very weak domestic because, again, of our history and our context. But none of you were seen as consumers. You are laborers into the sector, right? The consumers are seen as to be overseas. And therefore, a lot of the sectors are actually channeled to look at overseas. Now, what COVID has done is press the reset button. We all have to recalibrate. For the foreseeable future, domestic is with us. So therefore, it is impressed on businesses. How do they pivot? And when I talk about price, I like to talk about price in terms of value proposition. Now, we know that some of these beautiful lodges, by the way, that are in Limpopo, that none of us know about, but we know they are here, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? They're here, but you don't know where they are. I can't pronounce that, you know. So part of pivoting to say then, maybe for the international market, having 3 meals a day that are 4-course meals each makes sense. How then do you start to repurpose this thing for domestic, as an example? Just to kind of give you a bit of a sense, some of the attitudes, by the way, that we even before COVID, I used to speak to a lot of these lodges and say, why don't you market domestic during off-peak, right, winter, when the tourists are not here? Do you know what some of the sentiments were? No, I'll rather close and do maintenance. Think about that one. I'd rather close and do maintenance than lower pricing for this market. That's the attitude that is there. Now, the MEC talked about being in a free market environment. Now, part of the pain, MEC and Chair, and I'm speaking on behalf of the CEO here, that we have as tourism bodies, we profile and market things that we have no control over in terms of its pricing and its delivery. We make promises, they fulfill. Now, part of the problem then now is that we can't prescribe what pricing we will have. None at all. Only on assets that are owned by government, as such as the parks. But everything else is free market. Now, free market dictates the following, that the price will settle where the demand and the supply meet. Right? That's the basics of it. Now, if the price is too high, it basically means at some point in time, you close because no one is going to come at that price point. Right? And I think that's where the equilibrium sits in. It'll be very interesting to see then how things settle in that space. I can tell you right now, some of the establishments that I've spoken to, by the way, a lot are in here in Limpopo, are saying, no, CEO, I'll close and I'll wait for the borders to open. Because my product simply just can't fit domestic. Right? That's your South African challenge that is there. You know, we've got the world's highest inequality, by the way. Right? So some have actually enough rands to actually hold them off. In itself, by the way, I hope you are all listening in that part of the plea that I'd like to make out there. We'd like to see more people, not to come in as consumers, but as participants, as business people in the sector itself. There is a gap. There is a gap on the pricing. Who's going to come and fill it in? Why are we expecting the existing players to come down and fill that gap? Why can't you bring new entrants in that actually talk to that market gap? Right? Because I can tell you right now, absolutely zero products have ever been developed for black people in this country in tourism. Zero. So then, how do you start to rechange all of this? I mean, I ask the question all the time, Chair, who came up with the rule that breakfast should end at 11? I don't know who came up with it, but everyone closes breakfast at 11.
right? Believe in me, if they said 1 o'clock, I'll go to that place and actually say at 1 o'clock. So therefore, it's not speaking to me. It's some colonial rules that came through from the Queen one day that we are still carrying on with. How then we start to tell our stories, from their perspective. We are holding a webinar on pricing in the next 10 days or so, where I'm inviting the entire tourism sector to say, let's talk about pricing. Let's talk about how we need to change things a bit. And I'm always asked about, do we need to have local pricing, international pricing, etc. Imagine being yourself on the other side, being a business person, right? You open a business, you've invested in Konelon. Guess what you're trying to do? You're a profit maximizer, right? You want to charge the highest palatable price so that you can make the highest revenue. Now, if a government official in MEC comes that you shall charge this 120 rand, right? He's interfering then with your business, with your dynamics over there, right? However, this is my personal view, that there's an opportunity for what I call dynamic pricing, right? And what it is basically, it's a very transparent way that shows how prices changes depending on the time of day, depending on the time of the season. Think of it this way. Look at an airline seat, right? The very same seat of the person next door are different prices because you all bought at different times. You know that the 8 a.m. flight is expensive, but if you take the lunchtime one, where you actually board with grand people and people that are not working, it's cheaper. So imagine then having a full view of Kone Lodge to be able to see when is it peak, when is it off peak, so that you can make an informed decision. If you want to come here over Christmas, you pay Christmas pricing. But if you want to come here over off peak, you pay that off peak pricing. So it empowers people to make those decisions. That to me is the power of technology that we want to bring and enable places such as these so that you can see your value proposition at that price, etc., etc. So that's part of the work that is actually going in there. So pricing of value proposition is something we're definitely looking at in terms of bringing such those things. Because we say that domestic is expensive because when you think of places to go to, we recall the ones that are being marketed the most. The ones that with big marketing budget, places like Sun City, etc., that are always in your face. I can tell you right now, there are establishments out there that are screaming and saying, I've got good pricing. The problem is they're just not visible to all of us. And that's what I'm saying. Part of the duty you have is to pull those up so that they become visible, so that you can make an informed decision, right? That a Ferrari costs more than a Toyota. It's your choice. Don't force a Ferrari to bring it down the price to a Toyota, but let the market dictate kind of where it sits. And I think that's that information gap or asymmetry that we're trying to close with this technology. And by the way, when I talk about this technology, we're not talking next month, by the way. On the 27th of September is Tourism Day. This is Tourism Month, September, but Tourism Day. And an announcement will be made where we're launching actually this marketing platform that is visible, that you can put on your phone, that you can see and links it up basically. So that's something that we are talking to currently in this month. I hope I didn't take the minister's sting away from announcing that, but please keep it amongst yourselves, just amongst us in the room here. Thank you, Sue.
Okay, thank you so much, Sisa. Okay, Sisa comes from another country called South Africa, so he's got another time zone. I asked for 1 minute, but anyway, we allow him because it's his first time. So let's hear from the chairperson closing remarks on exactly the Limpopo 1 minute. Thank you, chairperson.
No. Thanks, CEO. Well, I would like to take this opportunity that we appreciate the time you've spent with us today. And I think let's go out there and say to everybody, Limpopo is back in business. There is more to enjoy in Limpopo. Thank you.
Thank you, Sisa. You know now the time. In Limpopo, this country. MEC, Honorable MEC, if you can take the opportunity to just wrap us up your final closing thoughts on this event, and of course, what's going to be coming up this month. Just 1 minute, thanks.
Thank you very much, CEO, to the chairperson of the board, to Caesar, the CEO of Tourism South Africa, to the mayor of Makado, and to Major Oke, and to all participants here, our media, we want to take this opportunity and thank you very much. We know that when we call you, we are going to do the exact thing that we want you to do to market Limpopo. Cesar said, what do we want Limpopo to be known for? We have explained ourselves. We said we are the Eden of Africa. We are a peaceful province. It's where creation has started. We have all this endowment that we have. We have the big five, we have the cultural history, and of course, we must be able to market this place and make sure that we encourage our people to come to go to see their province. It's just that we don't have time. When the CEO of Tourism South Africa was speaking, is that I was was entered by air because you see most of the things that he was talking about is something that we don't discuss. DDG, I think those things we must use the technology, talk about some of those things and educate our people and talk about this free market. What does it mean? What product do we have? How can we deal with some of the challenges that the media is asking, so that we should be able to assist? You will be worried that you go to those five-star hotels, pirates and chiefs are playing, but they don't want to give you. You go to a five-star hotel, there's no pub and flays. Because you see, there's no beer. I'm just saying, and you know what is the reason? The reason is that they don't want the working class to go there. But I'm just saying we must be able to raise some of these issues. If you go, I don't want to mention names. Sometimes you go, you find that rugby or cricket is playing. You say switch off to, there's no Super Sport 3. Even the packages, the way they've been done, the DSTV packages, are such that they don't want to put us, as you say, that we are going there. Even me as an MEC, when I go there, they ask me, it's as if I'm a worker there, you know. They are not seeing me as a tourist. So, but I'm saying these are the things that we should start having a conversation. We are starting a conversation. And for me, is that most of the time, this conversation we don't have, we must take this opportunity to thank LTA for arranging this kind of a meeting. It must be arranged more of a look. We are at a very relaxed moment. We are talking about ourselves, we're talking about our country, things that affect our people, and things that affect us directly. So I'm saying that even when we close this month, maybe we need to have this conversation. Even the same panel, just to say, what was our experience? Did we achieve what we said we wanted to do? So that we should be able to record that, so that next year we don't have to come back and repeat the same thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my MEC. Thank you so much. As we draw to a close, the media will have a media statement already in their possession. The media will also have a list of all the activities during this month that will be happening. We'll not get into those details, but it's all detailed there. And of course, media will be invited for some of those activities that are planned. We are having a series of digital workshops with the SMMEs, with the trade, to really try and take the conversation further, you know, in terms of how we can be dealing with this new normal. The issue of protocols, I know Energy, you are concerned. We are using this month, all the key players from our side to actually be going across the province to monitor the implementation of the protocols. I know that TBCSA is also doing the same. I know that the ministry is doing the same. SA Tourism is doing the same. So all of us, we are going to be going around to really just double check, because it is a self-regulating kind of an environment. So that will be happening, and we will be trying to see how we can assist people to comply with the protocols as well. But from my side, thank you very much. I know we've taken long, but we are in Limpopo, the sun is shining, life is good. So thank you so much. And I hand over back to the MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you, CEO, for running this session. I was panicking a bit, but all the things we're talking about, I didn't even know at what point should I interrupt to say, cut. So all the panelists, thank you so much. It's quite refreshing, something that's worth staying the afternoon for. We missed our lunch for all this good stuff that we're listening to. Thank you so much for running the session. And excuse us, Councillor Chauke, but if you could just come here, we'll leave the podium for now, but you're still on the podium. To come and say a vote of thanks. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome, they just come and under the radar, as it were. We're next to the military base. So some of the things that we do, they always have to be under the radar, but we noticed you, the chairperson of the portfolio committee, Honorable Mushabi, there at the back, as well as the HOD of the department. They are there at the back, and I think who else didn't I acknowledge who arrived? Councillor Mashimje, who is also a LTA board member. We welcome you, and you arrived at the right time when good questions and answers were coming through for what are we planning to do for tourism. Thank you so much. Let's allow Councillor Chauke to give us a vote of thanks on behalf of the Wembe District Municipality. Thank you.
Program Director, thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me start by acknowledging our traditional leaders. But we're going to some which guru. Our Honorable Mayor of Makhado, Municipality Councillor Munyai, our Honorable MEC of Economic Development, Environment, Tourism, MEC Thabo Mngoni, our DDG, CEO of Limpopo Tourism, Chairperson of the board and all board members, all councillors present here, media, good afternoon, Ndimasiari Nhlekane. Program Director, allow me to render a vote of thanks on behalf of our Mayor, Councillor Nenguda, and the entire district. We would want first to thank our Mayor, Councillor Mnyai, for a warm welcome. Thank you very much, Councillor Mnyai. We also want to thank the person who introduced our MEC in a very good manner. We thank you very much for that. To the MEC and the department organizers of this launch and everyone who have contributed to make this launch a success. As Wembe District Municipality, we want to appreciate you for choosing this launch to be done in our district. You could have chosen other areas, but you chose our district in a very remote area, in an area where opening economy matters most. because of the poverty that we have in the district. We appreciate and welcome the recovery plan that the department have to deal with the loss of economy due to pandemic. We believe that the recovery plan is going to benefit our people, and we want to thank you very much for that. For Bukona, we thank you for the sterling work and putting our district on the map. We say keep it up. We also want to thank the entertainers. We say thank you very much. Ka Bamusanda bashu, mahosi yashu, rikore wangamanda, rikos diba ori, samubuso, kanarina chere, the Arabone basa participate, basa binarine, basa ripishangu, rengasikono uyapanda, zinorukonyago uvalebuwa, radova rajia hechi, chipinga rikolebuwa, na mushumo wobo kuuita, uri vavone uri, hei COVID-19 iya pasi, district yashu ikova pasi nga hechi chichira cha COVID because of mushumo ukuitwa ngavone vachiko amba na malanda yao. Rikori aba yapanda richiko shuma ngauri ara COVID-19 yichiko gonyi zvikomba uri na economy idovhariwa chazvezvi yova yovhariwa, so rikonyago ivhuriwe ngauri vatu vacho vokotambura. To the panelists and media, we thank you very much. We have noted everything that need our intervention and commitment. The issue of Revolution Road, the culture and heritage of Makado, and other things that you have mentioned. Those are the things that are very close to our hearts, and we are saying that we will commit and work with you as a department. Here is Bellet in the room. Thank you very much, Mackenzie. Thank you.
Thank you, Nkomu, Councillor Jauke. Thank you, for all those good words. And it's all meant from the heart and the commitments that I've made. Chairperson, she did make commitments, so we'll follow that up going forward. We have reached the end of this part of the program, but I will explain a few things of what's going to happen. The launch of the tourism month in Limpopo is a month-long activity that we are introducing today. Part of it is that when we leave here, after just a meal, we shall go to Madombija just to inspect a property, an establishment there. Madombija is about 7 or so kilometers from here, just to check if they are compliant to all the regulations. They are open, and there are a number of people who are sleeping over there. So, but the entourage, MEC, board chairperson, members, and others who are able to go, will then go and inspect that area. It's going to be a 20-30 minutes visit, and then to be the end of today's program. Tomorrow in the morning from 9 o'clock, we are heading to, I think it should be southeast towards Elim. We are following on a cultural route called Rivola Art Route. In that area, there are a number of activities that we are going to visit for the whole day. There are artists who are there, who are sculptors. Some of them are dealing with scrap metal, others are painters. So there's a whole lot of activities that exist in that Rivola route. And if some of you who live around here asking, what do I do when I'm around Ilim, Giani, and the Makado area? that's what we're going to be exploring tomorrow as part of our culture and heritage route. So we have invited the media to join us, and the dignitaries will go through and we'll be able to link up with those activities from tomorrow. But the other activities that if we check on our social media pages, on the Limpopo Tourism Agency pages, as well as the Limpopo Economic Development Environment Tourism pages. We'll make those announcements, and we'll also put the calendar of events and activities as outlined here by our leaders. All of those activities that are going to happen between now until month end. Tourism doesn't end in September. Of course, we'll continue with other activities, but for this month of September, we'll give the outline of all those activities on our social media pages as well as on our website. So it's much easier, instead of us going to put an advert in a newspaper, it's easier to pick up our social media pages and find what are the things that we want you to do. And we'll still advertise in newspapers, of course, and for long-term projects. But for now, we are working on immediate information to be made available. So that's what we'll do today and tomorrow, and you could capture that. And if you still want, as members of the media, to have a one-on-one session, I'm asking if possible to allow us to go and eat. Our sugar levels have gone very low. And unless if you want to file the report tonight, you allow us to go and have a meal. And if it needs be, I'll ask for 10 minutes interviews before we go to the next session. But for now, I'll ask our artists to just do one more song as we are making our way to that end. But I'll also ask if you don't mind, within the limits of social distancing, just a group photo from this end while Ricky is playing us out. Thank you so much, MEC, for allowing me to run this program as chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you.